that I have interacted with Brad on numerous occasions, and I know he's an excellent speaker. So I'm looking forward to hearing him in this context. So, Brad, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Damian and Kayla. So it's a pleasure to be here with everyone today. I'll introduce myself again. My name is Brad Grimes. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the program coordinator here at the LGBTQ+ Center. Just quick show of hands. How many people here knows that like WVU has an LGBTQ+ center? Okay, good. How many of you have had the chance to visit the center? Okay, wonderful, excellent, that's good. So sometimes I'm invited to speak to classes and things like that to give a safe zone training. And I frequently ask the students, like, you know, how many of you know that like WVU has an LGBTQ+ center? And then I follow up with how many have actually been. And it's kind of dismaying sometimes how few people raise their hands, you know, indicating that they know that WVU has an LGBTQ+ center, much less actually have taken advantage of stopping up, visiting us, and finding out what we're about. So I'm really happy to be here today with you all in hopes of maybe changing that. Like, I know that like as advisors, you all can do a really good job of like making students aware of this wonderful resource that we have for them, and not just students, but also for faculty and staff, and even community members. So we are a resource hub that's available to lots of people all over campus and beyond. So what I imagined I would do today is just kind of walk you through the center's website, and we'll just talk about some things like some of our events and programming and the kinds of trainings that we do, and just to give you a better sense of who we are and what we do and who we serve. I'm going to share my screen. All right, can everyone see the website? Excellent. So this is our homepage, and here we usually just list a couple of the major events that are upcoming. So you'll see here that this Friday, we have our Rainbow Students Unite brunch. So Friday afternoons from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. every Friday, the center hosts LGBTQ brunch, and we're joined by anywhere from 5 to like 25 students who join us to come eat frozen food, like frozen waffles. Of course they heat them, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like we have breakfast foods, things like that, little snacks. Although sometimes they actually cook eggs, pancakes, all that kind of thing. So this Friday, we're going to be joined by our friends from the Caruth Center. They're going to be stopping by, making some of the food and just kind of introducing themselves and getting to like meet and greet several of our students who will be coming to brunch. So if you haven't yet had a chance to stop up and join us for brunch, please do so. It's a great time. Here we have the location of the center. We're on College Avenue, 724 College Avenue, which is directly across the street, but up on the hill from Ogilvie Hall. Our front doors look over the kind of the parking lot for Ogilvie and the kind of the back of Ming Shea. So that's where we're located. So this is about a 5-minute walk up the hill, 4 or 5-minute walk up the hill from the mountain lair. So everything's uphill, so we're used to that here in Morgantown. But we have this lovely home that used to be the resident faculty advisor home for Dadisman. We're located like right at the end corner of Dadisman Hall. So that's where we are. You'll see on our webpage that we include a list of gender inclusive and gender neutral restrooms on campus. So it's possible to just click that and be given a listing of the buildings that have gender neutral restrooms and their locations and the room numbers. So this is a handy resource for folks who may be in search of or in need of a gender neutral inclusive restroom. So a little bit about the LGBTQ+ Center. So we are an academic and advocacy unit that really strives to foster inclusion, equity, and support for WVU's LGBTQ students, faculty, staff, and beyond. We do this through a number of educational trainings, also programs, activities, events, all things designed to bring people together, to network, collaborate, and just to really foster a sense of inclusion for LGBTQ plus identifying people. We want to make sure that everyone, especially LGBTQ people, feel really included and part of the one WVU family that we strive to have here at WVU. And our mission is to educate and promote outreach. So we do that again through trainings, activities, events, programs, and collaborations with units all across campus. I think one big misconception about the LGBT Center is that people have is that like you have to be or identify as LGBTQ plus to participate in our programs, events, and that kind of thing. That's not true. Our events and activities and educational opportunities are open to everyone. Our hope is that people who don't identify as LGBTQ plus will take our trainings and interact with us, engage in our programming to learn how to be better allies and resources, and just be more comfortable with the segment of the population. So our events and programs are open to everyone. You do not need to identify as or be LGBTQ plus to take part in any of our programming or initiatives, that kind of thing. Now I'm going to introduce you to our staff. So here at the center, we have 2 full-time staff and 1 part-time staff. So our director is Dr. Ellen Rodriguez. I am the program coordinator, and here's my contact information. And we have a part-time worker, Felix Vargas, who also works part-time with the Women's Resource Center. So we have a small team, but we're very busy and we do a lot. And I think my hope is that you've seen some of our events that we offer, or that you've attended some of our Safe Zone trainings. And if not, I encourage you or your departments to do so. Let's talk about that now. So we offer a few different kinds of Safe Zone trainings. The Safe Zone trainings cover core vocabulary, key concepts, some scenarios. We have some practice scenarios, and they're really efforts to get people to use inclusive language, non-gendered language, to help people learn how to respect names and pronouns, and just kind of an overview. And really what the trainings seek to do is to help everyone be more comfortable and feel like a better ally for members of the LGBTQ plus community. So we offer our general LGBTQ plus Safe Zone training. We also offer a transgender Safe Zone training, which takes a bit of a deeper dive into trans-specific and gender non-binary, genderqueer identities and concerns. We have a healthcare Safe Zone that we present to healthcare providers. And so we talk about how they can be more inclusive and provide better and more accessible healthcare for and more inclusive healthcare for LGBTQ plus people. And we also offer an educator Safe Zone, a training that we frequently give to people in educators, school boards, faculty and staff from other campuses or counties, things like that, to help them be more inclusive with their LGBTQ plus populations and the people that they serve. So you can see here on our website that there are a listing of available trainings to sign up for. Mainly we offer the Safe Zone and the Trans Safe Zone. You'll see here something called Public Safe Zone. Originally that was designed for people who were external to WVU. So people to sign up for our Trans Safe Zone or our Safe Zone, it usually requires a WVU affiliated email address. So the public offerings are for people without a mix or @mail.wvu.edu email address. And it was intended to really be kind of a community-based resource for people who sought out our trainings. What we found, however, is that a lot of students, faculty, and staff prefer that time. It's an evening time slot from 5 to 6:30. And so In addition to people external to WVU and community members, we do have staff, students, and faculty in some of those public safe zones too. So the offerings throughout the year are listed. If you haven't had a safe zone training or participated in one, I encourage you to do so. They're 90 minutes long, and you will recover a lot of material, but you will hopefully leave the training feeling empowered, educated, and like with the know-how to be a better LGBTQ+ ally and support. There are descriptions of these safe zone trainings here. I want to talk briefly about a couple of these student orgs that exist, the LGBTQ themed student orgs. So historically, we have had ENGIA Pride, like an engineering students pride group. OSTEM, out in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Both of those groups have seen this year a developing and growing year. They were active groups a couple years ago. I think most of the people in them graduated. So both of those are kind of rebuilding again this year. The law school has Outlaw, an LGBTQ student advocacy group. Rainbow International was a group that was kind of active a couple years ago, we focused on being an international LGBTQ+ outreach organization. SHAPE is like a group of medical students. It's the LGBTQ+ medical student group. Speakers Bureau is another one that was active a couple years ago. Spectrum, same, having kind of a rebuilding year. And the newest club is the WVU LGBTQ+ club on the Discord app. So it's about 75 members currently and growing. And it's where a lot of our students meet to just network, socialize, and kind of have that supportive community. Next, I'm going to look at some of the events that we've offered. So I've mentioned Rainbow Brunch and the standing Friday brunches. The fall foliage hike was going to be this weekend, but sadly it was canceled due to low registration. We'll be doing some pumpkin painting at the LGBTQ+ Center. Students love hands-on creative things, so they'll be doing some of that during the brunch. Some of our bigger upcoming events will be our Transgender Day of Remembrance Vigil and our Friendsgiving Dinner. It's one of our big annual programs every year, as is our World AIDS Day program. And you'll see some other events that we're going to have going on. Another one of our larger events, big annual events, is our Lavender graduation ceremony, held in the last Sunday of April. And that's really a day when we gather and we celebrate, honor, and recognize the achievements and the persistence of LGBTQ+ and allied students who have made it to graduation. So that's always a really popular day, and a lot of students just really report having a good experience with that. So that's important to us, and we do that every year as well. In addition to the trainings that we offer, we have student ambassadors. We have about 5 this year, and they present half-hour ambassador modules, like educational modules, on topics that we deem important for the broader community to know about. So I think the upcoming one is going to be on intersex awareness, and that will be next Tuesday, I believe at 12 to 12:30 p.m. That'll be on Zoom. So you'll see those kind of things posted, but it's another chance for our students to do peer education. You'll note that our website next lists WVU resources, state and national resources, and gender affirming resources. So what we really want our website to be is an informational and resource hub for people to be able to find any kind of LGBTQ related information that they might need. So we have WVU resources listed. Various collaborators and community partners and campus partners are located here. And folks can take advantage of these. We also list state and national resources, as well as you can see on the side panel, resources for queer and trans, Black, Indigenous people of color. So QDPOC, queer, trans people of color, Also resources there. So what we really hope is that our website is and kind of a treasure trove of resources for people who may be seeking them out. Let's look at gender affirming resources. So people in need of gender affirming healthcare can find helpful resources here to help them set up the kinds of appointments and receive the gender affirming care that they need. It is possible for students to work with the registrar's office to update their names, to change names. So if they no longer are using a legal or given name and they want to use their true name, they can reach out to folks at the registrar's office to go about initiating that change and to have that change promulgated across several university platforms. Here at the center, we also have a program where we will pay for the replacement ID for people who are trans and non-binary who need a new ID card that's reflective of their identity. So those are just a couple of things that we offer. Back to the house, it really is a safe I want to also point out that myself, Dr. Rodriguez, and Felix, we are all confidential Title IX resources. So we can help students, faculty, or staff. We can talk with them and serve as confidential resources for them and help them decide if they want to report a Title IX incident or file like a report, or we can help them find other remedies and resources and interventions to address their issues. So I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out. That's kind of an overview of the LGBTQ+ Center. I would like to now see if anyone has questions or anything like that. I'd be happy to answer.
I'd like to know if brunch is open to everyone.
So do stop by. It would be a great chance for you to meet some of our students, introduce yourself, say who you are, where you're from. I think everyone would love to meet you and meet anyone. So we had last week, we had the faculty advisor from Mi Gente, a Latinx student group, stop by and give an overview of that student org. And just it was part of our Latinx Heritage Month observance, and we had Latine food and everything, so it was kind of a theme. But yeah, if you would like to come and speak or and introduce yourselves to our students, we would love that. So also, if anyone wants, we recognize that signs of micro inclusion are really important. So we have buttons, magnets, stickers, all that kind of thing, all of which can go a long way in not only brightening up your workspaces, but also signifying to students, faculty, and other staff that you are a safe person to talk to. We gave a bunch of our rainbow high pins to some of the clinicians at Health Sciences, and they reported back to us that it made a huge difference. People were like, oh, when I saw you wearing that pin, I knew I could come out to you and be honest with you about my identity or about my sexuality. So they reported a really good response, and people really latching onto those signifiers of inclusion. So if you want any kind of pronoun pin, a button, a rainbow high button, our famous y'all means all button, those are really popular. People seem to love those. Please feel free to stop by the center and grab some of that swag, because again, signs of visibility and inclusion really are important and they go a long way. And you'd be surprised that I think the number of people who, when they see that, relax and can open up and really share the truth about themselves and their identities and their concerns with you. And as advisors, I am sure that you want people to be able to relate to you and feel safe with you. So feel free to stop by for any of those. Any other questions?
We do, Brad, have one question from the chat. And the comment, it's sort of a comment and question. All the trainings are at the same time each week. Would it be possible to schedule trainings at a time for those of us with conflicting teaching schedules?
Yes, so we actually
because
did
the
do that.
prime, okay.
Yes, so I mean, we recognize that we're getting the feedback that, you know, the trainings are always at like 11 or always at 1. And so I'm never going to be able to attend one because of my schedule. So we made a real point to stagger them. So 1 month, the trainings will be at 11, the next month at 12, the next month at 1, next month at 2. So we really tried to mix it up to give people like lots of variety and lots of options that may work with varying schedules. And there's also, of course, the public safe zone training that's offered in the evenings from 5 to 7:30 once monthly, that folks who can't do it at any time during the day can feel free to attend that.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Any other questions about the center, what we do, who we serve? This has been a very broad overview. So I'm happy to talk with anyone in more detail. I will throw my contact information in the chat box one more time.
We also actually have a last minute question as you're typing your contact information in, Brad.
Sure.
Are there any of the stickers, buttons, etc. available at Potomac State College?
So we have been invited to actually give a safe zone training. And I think that's happening in the spring, I think. I'm not sure exactly when, but I'll probably be going to Potomac State. Or is that, we've been invited there, and maybe to Beckley. So we are going to be trying to go to the satellite campuses, but until I get there, if someone wants some of our swag and buttons, we'll be happy to mail them to you. Just please reach out to me at my address, tgrimes@mail.wvu.edu or at lgbtq.wvu.edu. Or let me actually put in our lgbtq@mail.wvu.edu. The first one, lgbtq.wvu.edu, is our website. You can email us at lgbtq@mail.wvu.edu. But let us know, either reach out to me or to the main website, the main email address, and I'll be happy to arrange a package of swag to be sent to you.
Thank you, Brad. I do have one question to which you may not have an answer,
Okay.
but I feel sort of duty bound, since this is a bunch of academic advisors from the faculty and staff ranks. If there were sort of, based on your working with students so closely in the center, I'm sure that you get lots of feedback from students. If there were kind of one common thematic theme that you have heard about that we as advisors need to either be more sensitive to, or we could help students in any way, would you have any sort of kind of advice for us as advisors that would help us to serve that community?
That's a good question, Jennifer. Thank you. And I think a couple of the concerns that we hear over and over, the first one regards, but it's not a problem that like I think advisors can handle, but like the fact that like dead names and legal names are still appearing on student IDs and things like that. But another concern that sometimes gets mentioned is housing options. So I want to make sure that all of you as advisors know about True Colors, the True Colors Living and Learning Community in Stolnaker Hall. It's like an entire floor dedicated to LGBTQ+ queer students, and it's a great safe place for students to live. So we worry about housing for students who may not be comfortable, who may be getting misgendered, that kind of thing in their housing. So it's important to know that the True Colors Living and Learning floor. Let me find that for you. We have it somewhere. So the Living and Learning Communities here under the website. You can't see my screen. Let's see. under housing. And then true colors. And there's like information about it. And the applications and information about how to apply and all that can be found there. But again, I think students feeling safe in their housing is probably the biggest one. And I think you all as advisors letting them know that there is that option would be really important.
I think that's very helpful, especially as a lot of us are meeting many of our freshmen for the first time right now in our initial year off, officially on campus advising sessions. And so I think that will be very, very helpful, and I appreciate the input. I think one thing that also kind of brings to mind is, as advisors, remember where to be looking for the student's preferred name, in which systems you can easily see it and which systems you can't. That's something that we might actually address in a subsequent training, because I know some of them, everything is sort of like the legal established named, but some, and I think I want to say that you can see it easily in Navigate. You can see the preferred name, and I think sometimes in DegreeWorks, but I think in Banner you have to look for it, and I think in Star you have to look for it too.
Yes, it's not uniform across every system. So
Right.
that is a problem, and we're still working with like IT and administration on fixes for that, because it's not universal, it's not readily and easily findable, but it should be somewhere. And that's a really good point too, Jennifer. It's like, you know, I mentioned like kind of signals and signifiers of inclusion, but something that you all can do, I think, in your roles as advisors, is when you're meeting students to introduce yourselves and share your pronouns. It's something easy to do. It costs nothing. It takes 2 seconds, and it helps normalize the process of pronoun sharing. And it really, to the right person or the person who needs it, it's a huge signifier that, you know, here's someone that I can really talk to who gets it, who I can like really, you know, relate to. So if you like, you know, hey, I'm Jennifer, I use whatever pronouns you use, then, you know, that'll signal to someone. It may like, you know, signal to a student like, oh, I can tell you that like I use they, them pronouns. And then I have these concerns about that, about my gender identity. Since we're talking about pronouns, maybe housing is a concern for me. Maybe I'm being misgendered in some of my courses by my professors and things. So you'll get a lot more feedback, I think, potentially by like just showing an awareness and opening up, you know, and sharing your pronouns with students in meetings. I think it's a good place to start.
Thank you, Brad. That's really helpful. We really appreciate your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Again, I invite you all to come up and visit us at the LGBTQ+ Center. We can have coffee, tea, show you around, give you a little tour, but we'd love to see you and meet you. And thank you for helping our students be more aware of the resources that we offer. So thank you.
Thanks, Brad. All right, so next up we have Regan from the Office of Student Success on campus. And she's going to talk about what their office offers and then some of their services. And again, if you have questions, you know, you can either put them in the chat or once Regan's finished, you're welcome to ask those as well.
Thank you, Kayla. It's so great to see so many familiar faces and see familiar names. I'm excited to be here. Oh shoot, I don't have my video on. I'm sorry. Okay, now I do. So hi everybody. Can you all see my the screen though that I'm sharing? Okay, thanks. So this is our flyer that outlines all the various support that we provide. And I really appreciate all of you and all the hard work that all the advisors do. I know it's not an easy job. You're an advisor, you're a counselor, you're a friend, a mentor, you're referring students to resources. So truly appreciate all that you do. And thank you for helping connect students to our resources. So the biggest takeaway one of, I don't have too many takeaways today, but one of the biggest takeaways is that all of our services are free. So there is no extra cost to the students. One of the biggest services we provide is free tutoring every day of the week. And those of you that know me know that I say this all the time, but free tutoring every day of the week. And we have lots of students right now, and I'm sure you know this, with D's and F's. So there is no need for students to be struggling when there is campus-wide tutoring every day of the week for free. There's a great new website. I'm sure many of you have seen it, but if you haven't, and I'll show it to you here in just a few minutes, but it's tutoring.wvu.edu. And that is a centralized location to find all the tutoring that's available on campus. So specifically from the Office of Student Success, we operate the academic resource centers. They're located on the downtown campus and the Evansdale campus. Downtown, we're on the ground floor of the library. And then at Evansdale, we're in Bennett Tower. Another service we provide is student success coaching. Now, this is not tutoring. It's not subject-based, but rather we help students improve their academic skills. Again, this is a free service available to any student. We focus on time management, note-taking, test-taking tips, that type of thing. It is optional for most students, but it is required for the class students that are on academic probation, our provisional admitted students, and then we also infuse it into the first year seminar for our first gen students, our RISE students, and our Mountain Scholar students. Another service that we offer are student lingo modules. We partner with a third-party vendor to provide this service. If you've not checked it out, please do so. Such a great resource because it's available 24/7. So they are online, on-demand workshops with every topic that you could possibly think of that a college student experiences. There are what I consider fun topics, but then of course more serious topics. So anything from how do you create a bucket list in college to dealing with an eating disorder or being on academic probation. Students can link to those workshops from our website, and I'll show you that here in just a second. And then we also still offer the SORT seminars. In fact, we have one tonight, and I'll show you that. And it is virtual tonight. We tried offering some in-person ones the past few weeks and had one student attend 3 different workshops. There was only ever one student that attended, but it was 3 different workshops and it wasn't the same student. So we're going to try virtual. But we can also come into your class and present a SORT seminar if for those of you that are teaching first year seminar or any other type of class. But these are essentially, we replicate what we do in a coaching appointment and do it for a group environment. So we could cover specific topics like time management. Tonight, the topic is how to finish the semester with success. So those are a couple of different services that we provide to all students. Now, programs, we do offer 2 specific programs for specific audiences. Our first gen initiatives, and WVU is finally adopting a definition for first gen, and it is where neither parent has a 4-year degree in the US. So if neither parent has a 4-year degree in the US, the student is considered first gen. Now we have to rely on the students to identify as first gen. So we're really working with admissions and other units to make sure that we have the opportunity for students to self-identify. But we have specific first year seminars in class for the first gen students and lots of different programs and events for our first gen students. And these events are open to anyone, although we of course market to first gen students. We're not going to turn away a student if they come. We do have 2 big events coming up that I wanted to share with you. And these will be on our website after today, because we always highlight one event on our website. So the first one is a game night, and that's October 26th from 5 to 7 in the Mountain Lair Rhododendron Room. And I don't know if any of you had the chance to come. We had a We had our first game night right before COVID hit. It was in January 2 years ago, and it was phenomenal. We had over 100 students come, and we played bingo. We had board games. We had cornhole, just all kinds of fun different things. We set up in the mountain lair like 3 or 4 different rooms. It was really a lot of fun. So the one next, or I guess that's 2 weeks from now, it'll be a little smaller scale, but we're planning to do board games and bingo. So, and of course we'll have free food, so please encourage your students. Another point of interest for First Gen is November 8th is National First Gen Celebration Day. And this is a national celebration day. And of course that would fall on our election day and university is closed. So we are going to be celebrating all week long with First Gen events. We'll kick off November 7th and then have some smaller events throughout the week. So if anyone would like help in sponsoring an event or would like to partner on an event or host your own event to celebrate not only First Gen students, but our First Gen advisors, faculty, and staff, we'd love to partner with you. And again, more of this will be on our website. Any questions so far? I'm sorry, I talk really fast. And I can't see everybody, so no questions. Okay, I'll keep going. And if you have a question, just interrupt me. And then another program that we offer is called Mountain Scholars. And it's a brand new program. This is designed for students from West Virginia. We had the West Virginia Gear Up grant for a few years, but it was a sub-recipient award and that has ended. And so the Mountain Scholars program was designed to replace that grant. But it focuses on helping students from West Virginia transition to WVU throughout their first year. Okay, now I'm going to switch gears and show you the website real quick. Okay, can you all see the website? Jen, okay, thanks. Okay, so here are the virtual workshops I wanted to show you real quick. Oh, yeah, you have to log in. But maybe it'll go to it. Oh, good, yay, it went to it. So you do have to use your WVU credentials to get in, but that's great because we also track it. So like if you require a student lingo workshop for a class or you know, anything like that, we do track it and keep everything in Navigate. But here you can see all of the different workshops, and I'll just kind of scroll through this a little bit slowly so you can see it. But most of the workshops are about 15 to 20 minutes in length. And as you can see, you know, anything from exam prep to handling failure in and out of the class to just achieving well-being. I mean, again, it's just so many different topics that most college students experience.
And Regan, I would also jump in and add that it's not just student only. You actually can go in as a WVU employee with a WVU credential login and actually access this as well. And I will just tell you, just to see what you know, a couple of them look like to refer some students to. I did them, so you certainly take advantage of taking a look at them when you have some time, you know, to look at that yourself.
Yes, thank you, Jen, so much for saying that. And actually, we have another subscription called Go To Knowledge. And yeah, I'll have to send you that link later. But Go To Knowledge and Student Lingo are offered by the same vendor. And that one is designed just for faculty and staff. So any workshop that innovative educators host, we can, because of our subscription, we get to either participate in a live one for free, or you can see the recording for free. And just give me a couple minutes once I'm done presenting and I'll put that link in the chat for everybody, because it's not on our website since it is designed for faculty and staff, so I'll have to get that to you. But yes, even student lingo is wonderful. Like, I've gone into and done the student lingo workshop to better teach critical thinking skills, because I don't know how to teach that in my first year seminar. So that has been very helpful. So yes, thank you, Jen, so much for pointing that out.
Sure. And, what I would also say, Regan, is if you could provide us kind of with a little sort of synopsis or scenario, like just a brief description, we can actually put the go-to knowledge out in the next MOW that we send out to the AAC listserv. So those that unfortunately could not be here today, we'll be able to access that information as well.
Thank you. I will definitely do that. Thank you.
That's great.
Okay. Now, the other thing, what else did I want to show you? And I said I would do, here's the finish the semester with success. So, if you want to shoot your students a quick little email and give them this link, they can join tonight virtually from 5:30 to 6:30. We try and make these, even though it's virtual, we give them activities to do during the workshop. And when it's in person, we really do have hands-on activities, but the focus of this will be, just how to finish the semester with success, knowing the important deadlines. You all know there's tons of deadlines coming up between course registration and the last day to drop classes and finals week, all that good stuff. We'll review all of that information. And then also all of our activities are on WVU Engage, and almost all of them can also count towards Project 168. So students can kind of double dip there. Okay, now I wanted to take you to...
So just to clarify, as you're pulling that up, the question is about being a calendar. So basically looking at the Engage calendar would be a place where we could refer students to find all of the activities as one kind of easy place to find it, or would it be on your website? Or
well, yeah, it is on our website, but then we only highlight one event at a time on that. But we do have an events page. But if you go to the main website, we only highlight one, but the events page, I'll include that in the message of the week too.
great.
Okay, so now I have the tutoring website available. And again, this is campus-wide. This isn't just student success tutoring. So this is a really cool find your tutoring center tool. Oh my gosh, please work. Okay. Okay, let's pretend I need help with math and statistics. Really, I need math. I want drop-in tutoring. I really need help with math 126. Now, why are those out of order? I didn't know, but that's beside the point. And then you submit. And then it tells you all the different options that you have for getting math tutoring. So great resource to give to your students. Very easy to remember, tutoring.wvu.edu. Please feel free to link to this website from your current websites. And this gives me a good segue into Ask Morgan. So if you haven't heard, we have this great chatbot called Ask Morgan. WVU purchased this program back in 2019 and initially only had the financial aid content library, but we've now expanded that to include 5 content libraries. And those are advising, tutoring, registrar, financial aid, and we will be launching counseling services here probably like within a month. But you can just click on this and Morgan is available to answer your questions again 24/7. The questions do have to be related to those 5 content libraries that I mentioned. And then Morgan has its own website. Here we go. So it gives students, parents, whoever's asking some tips on how to ask the questions, because, if you don't ask it very succinctly, you might not get the response that you need. And then again, this is housed, that little questions box is housed on all of those websites. So like, you don't have to be on the tutoring website to ask a tutoring question. You could be on the advising website and ask a question. Did you all even know we had a new advising website? Probably not. So that was part of Joy. With Joy coming on board, we created a new general advising questions. And then that's the home of Ask Morgan for right now. While we're there, I also wanted to share with you that you can add the Ask Morgan in your signature link, and I will include this also in the message of the week. It's not complicated, but you have to follow directions on how to add it. But you can add Ask Morgan into your signature line. Oh, I swear this works. It's not working for me now, but you click on that and then the Ask Morgan comes up. But it did work for me earlier. Why is it not working for me now? Oh, maybe I have to, that's why. There. So see, I was able to click on that from my signature link and it brought up Ask Morgan. So I thought many of you might be interested in this as we go into heavy course registration season, and sometimes maybe Morgan can answer an easy question that won't tie up your time. Over the life cycle of Ask Morgan, so when it was first initially launched, it has answered over I think it's like over 20,000 questions, you guys. So it is very helpful. I was just looking at the statistics for this past month, and it's answered over 1,000 or close to 1,000 questions just this month alone. So it is a wonderful it is, you know, it's technology, so it's great when it works and it sucks when it doesn't, but for the most part it's very good at answering general questions. Okay, so that's Ask Morgan. Okay, I have one more event to tell you about, and we are doing a live podcast there. And it's a podcast specifically for Appalachia, and that will be November 10th from 6:30 to 8 in Ming Shea Hall, but they'll be doing this live podcast. It is designed for Mountain Scholar students, but we are inviting, you know, everyone, especially your West Virginia residents, that it really just talks about kind of the funny things in Appalachia. Okay, whew. I think I'm done. I'm sorry, that is a lot of information. I shall stop sharing now and would love to hear from y'all. I did a really good job, didn't I? Nobody has questions.
We got a comment that this was super helpful.
Oh, thank you.
I'll also just put a plug in for Morgan. I think the chatbot, I know that the chatbot interacts with students and they feel they let their guard down, and they will ask it plenty of things that they may feel too embarrassed to ask their advisor because it feels simplistic. I mean, one way to think about those 1,000 interactions is that's 1,000 less emails about very basic things, and anything that can engage students, especially at peak times where we may be super busy, or times when we're just not in the office, anything that helps reduce that load with some of those basic things is a benefit. So I'm gonna, Regan, do you think you might be able to share, like via email to Jen or to Kayla, how to put that in your signature so that students can just click on it? If you'd share that, I think that would be really great, because it is, you know, it's hard to reach students. They don't respond to a lot of things, and they're not really opting out of Morgan, which they have the chance to do. And they do seem to be interacting, and about, I want to say 15% or so of the chats that Morgan has, I can't remember what the category is called, but it's basically just chit chat, where they'll ask her things like, what are you doing? Tell me a joke. And Morgan will, you know. So it seems to be something that students actually do like and interact with.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Joy. It's funny. We ask silly questions like, do you have to go to class when it rains? And she's like, yeah, you do. So to put it in your signature line, basically I'll send the graphic, and then you just have to hyperlink it. And then, add in the word like the # and then bot, but I'll explain it. I'll be happy to even share, if you want to jump on a quick Zoom call, if you're having trouble, I'd help you that way too. And Freddie, you should have all the answers, but I do see you have your hand raised.
So thanks, Regan. And my question is more in lines with kind of the rollout of Morgan. Can you or Joy or maybe someone else talk about some of the future initiatives that we hope to roll out as we go throughout the rest of this semester and into kind of the beginning of the spring as well?
Yes, thank you. Joy, thank you for that comment too. So when Morgan cannot answer a question, the student does have the option to enter their contact information, and then it is forwarded onto the appropriate unit by email. Now, that means the student has to select the appropriate office. So what we have found is that advising, and this, gets lots of financial aid questions. So then we do have to forward it on to the hub. And in the same respect, the hub will get some advising questions because it's a one-stop shop, right? But the point is, if Morgan can't answer the question, the student can, or parent, enter their contact information, how they want to be contacted, and then the appropriate office will follow through. So now, Freddie, to your question, what was your question? Oh, how are we gonna keep rolling forward? Okay, so I did mention that we are bringing up the 5th library, which is counseling services. So that'll be coming soon, and we'll do some student news articles, e-news articles to mention that. One of the things we've already done between the texting, I didn't mention the texting. So as part of Morgan, we can send texts. So the chat bot lives on the website, but then we can also text students and they can ask questions via text messaging, and Morgan can answer it, or you can set it up where a live person answers the questions, but we want to be careful with that, right? So anyway, some of the texts that we've sent out have been centered around the early alerts, when students received early alerts grades, mid-semester grades. Joy, I know, mentioned about it when she did the 191 absences. We sent texts through that. So some upcoming campaigns that we'll be sending out are to those non-registered students. That's the next biggest one we'll roll out. So to give you an example, last Tuesday, we sent a text message to over 4,000 students if they had an F. And the text message was to remind them that Tuesday was the last day to add a class. And it also connected them, and I did not show you this, and that's one of the things I wanted to, but on our website is a really helpful, like, one-stop shop for all the mid-semester and early alert resources. So that's another thing. We use the text message to link students to that website. We also emailed all the students that had D's and F's as part of the mid-semester outreach. And the day we emailed it, we had 400 hits to our website. When we did the early alert messaging, we had over 800 hits that day, which is funny because early alerts went to much fewer students. But the day we emailed was also fall break because that's when grades were available. Perfect timing, right? But does somebody else have a question? And I'll bring, if I can show it just real quick, Jen, and I don't want to take Project 168's time, I'm sorry.
We are trying to be really strategic about how we use the texting feature. I'm sure many of you have used the texting feature in Navigate, and we don't want to overuse it. Just like any other tool, students then become immune to it. But I'm also hoping that one of the things that we can do is look at the typical questions that get thrown to the chatbot and see if maybe we need to do some campaigns that are centered around some frequently asked questions, because it does tell you where students' concerns and lack of information really are. Another possible use might be getting closer to new student orientation if we want to encourage students to opt, to do certain things related to that, like the ALEX testing or something. There's all kinds of possibilities. We just don't want to desensitize students to the tool. So that's an ongoing tug of war, I guess.
Okay, here's that website I was telling you about. And again, you can just get to it from our main site, but it just really gives students a lot of different tips on what to do at that mid-semester point. And of course, we tell them, talk to your advisor. Okay. Any other questions? Brooke, I'm sorry to keep talking.
No worries at all.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. And thank you so much for the big job that you have. Advisors really are a key component, as you know, to a student's success. So I appreciate your hard work. I know you're getting ready to go into, you never slow down, but now it's going to be the really, really busy season. And if our office can help support you, we're always happy to do so. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Regan. Yeah, and feel free to send us any of the info you'd like to share on the MOW. That typically goes out on Thursday or Friday. So if you can send it to me by sometime in that time frame, that would be great. All right, so next up we have Brooke Ashby, and Brooke is going to talk to us a little bit about Project 168, and I will turn it over to her.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm just going to go over a little bit about Project 168, how maybe you guys can get involved with our program. And then also feel free to just interrupt me at any point in time if you do have any questions. All right, so the 168 actually stands for how many hours are in the week. And so the idea is that we know, students are in class and they're studying and they're doing all the typical student things, but what are they doing with the remaining hours in the week? And are they taking advantage of all of the opportunities that WVU can provide them? So it is just a formal way to give students credit or recognition for what they are doing outside of the classroom. So it is a self-paced co-curricular experience, and it offers around 50 opportunities in 10 different content areas. The program can also be completely free of charge. So while there are some elective options throughout the program, such as maybe a study abroad opportunity or taking a certain class that do cost money, there are opportunities for students to get all the way through without paying anything. So what makes Project 168 unique? Students will use WVU Engage to track their participation. So when students log into WVU Engage, there is a little tab that is specifically for Project 168 that students can select. Otherwise, they can also click their little icon, click the pass option, and it will take them to Project 168, because as of now, we are actually the only program that uses that feature with Engage as of right now. And once students complete all around 50 experiences that we offer, they will also be given a co-curricular transcript. So this is similar to obviously an academic transcript, except it'll have all of their extracurriculars, all their co-curriculars listed, and they can show that to jobs or graduate schools to say, yes, here's my GPA, but also look at how involved I was, look at all the hands-on experience that I was able to gain. And students can also personalize Project 168 based on their interests and passions, which is pretty cool. There's so many elective options throughout the program, and we're continuously adding experiences from different departments, so students can definitely personalize it. So Project 168 also offers coaches. So this is something that is definitely unique to WVU. We've seen a few other co-curricular programs like this throughout the country at other universities or institutions, but WVU is kind of unique in the sense of this. So coaches are just volunteer guides. It can be full-time WVU employee or a WVU alumni who can kind of serve as a mentor towards the students. We also try to match students and coaches based off of interests. So this could be the field they're going into, the degree that they're studying, or just a personal, fun hobby that they both share. Coaches are expected to meet regularly with their students. This can be individually or in groups each semester, and they'll provide support and feedback to the student as they progress throughout the program. Coaches can also request students based on major or special interest. Right now, I think we have around 60 coaches. I actually recognize some of you that are in here that already serve as coaches, which is fantastic. But we're always accepting more. So I just wanted to briefly touch on our curriculum. I won't go into all of it or we would be here forever. But the curriculum consists of 10 different content areas. So we have service civic engagement, we have alma mater, leadership development, career and professional development, cross-cultural, appreciation of the arts, wellness, and community standards. So all of our 50 experiences that students will complete are divided up into these 10 content areas. Now, each content area has a certain amount of required experiences. So for example, we'll use alma mater. Alma mater might have attend an athletics event as a required experience, and then attend Fall Fest as one of the elective options. Other examples could include career and professional development, maybe taking that resume to a career development specialist and having them check over it before they apply to that summer internship. Service, civic engagement, and activism. This could be completing 25 hours of volunteer work. This could be diversity trainings. There's tons of different opportunities, and students can get really creative with this as well. An example that we always like to offer is under appreciation of the arts. I think it had to, I think it was something along the lines of, create some sort of art, whether it was pottery or painting or drawing. And a student actually went to the Wow Factory and she created a dog bowl, and she painted that dog bowl and she wrote a little reflection to us on what that dog bowl meant to her, what she put on it, a little bit about her dog, which was kind of fun. So that was really cool. So how can you play a role? So Project 168 is definitely a great way for first-time freshmen to get involved on campus and create relationships with both their peers and faculty and staff. Obviously, a lot of freshmen are adjusting to that college life. We know this. And so I think it's really important for them to create these meaningful relationships, get involved in campus, and really encourage them with that. So you can educate your students about Project 168, just let them know who we are, what we do, and maybe encourage them to also get involved with us. Again, I want to emphasize that this is self-paced. So students can take their entire 4 years to complete the program. There's no rush to get it done. It does not matter if a student wants to start this their junior year, or we've actually had someone complete it in one semester. Obviously, we don't recommend for students to always complete it one semester. That's a lot of things to do at once, but it is possible to get it done. Also spread the word. So that's a big thing. Obviously we are a new program. This is our first full academic year, which is very exciting. So spreading that word out there to other people is also helpful. And lastly, you can become a Project 168 coach. So this is kind of really why I wanted to talk with you guys specifically. We really try to match our students with coaches based off of their interests, especially with their degree or what they want to maybe go into for graduate programs. And so with this, we have a lot of students that are underrepresented. We don't have students from certain departments. So we would really like to encourage you guys to either one, become a coach, or two, maybe spread the word to some of your faculty members within your departments. This could really help us, could really help the students and be beneficial for the students. Now, obviously, we don't want to add too much responsibility for coaches. And I definitely recognize that as advisors, you already hold a lot of different hats and responsibilities. So to take off some of that weight, Anna and I, the program coordinator, we are in charge of actually approving of all of these students' experiences and tracking those experiences. So your only job as a coach is to just check in how often as you see fit, just say, hey, here are some events that we have coming up, or how are things going? How are your classes going? Just kind of more simple ways like that, just to be an extra layer of support. It's really up to you and how much you want to do with it. You know, we've had some coaches who are going full out there and they're taking their students to coffee, and they're having these little like reward giveaway things of whoever completes so much at a certain time gets a Starbucks gift card. Obviously, that's not stuff that we expect. I'm serving as a coach, and that's not something I'm doing with my students. But, you know, it really just depends on how much you want to get involved. I also wanted to throw on here some helpful resources that you might want to jot down. We have our Project 168 email. So this is monitored by Matthew, Anna, and I. So one of us would always get back to you. I also have Matthew Richardson's email on here. He is the director for Project 168. I have Anna Riddle, who is the senior program coordinator. And then lastly, my email as the graduate assistant. I also have our website on here that you can check out, as well as WVU Engage, which is how students, like I said before, log those different experiences. And then I also thought I would just go ahead and go over to our website really quick so you can see that. So can you see the website right now? Okay. So once you go to our website, students can get on here, and on the very first page, there is this take your first step. So if they click on this, which I'll just go ahead and do it. So this is how they can first get involved. So all they have to do is fill out a few things here. So their name, their number, email, what year they are. And then down here, we have their major or any special interests. So that can just help us connect those students to the appropriate coach. There's also on here the curriculum. So you can walk through all 10 of those content areas that I previously discussed. You can go over all of the required cores and elective options. So for this one, you can see that there are 2 required core experiences, and they would just need to select 3 of these electives. We're down here, there's only 1 required core and 4 electives. So it really just depends on which content area. But you can see that there are lots and lots of different experiences on here that students can get involved with. So like I said before, you know, obviously something like this one, participating in a study abroad, is a lot different than creating a profile on WVU Connect. We really want to make sure that experiences are being offered for all types of students. So with that being said, we're also focusing on creating a few focus groups. So for commuters, for first generation students, some of those different topics, full-time working students, to really make sure that we're making the program accessible for them as well. We don't want them to not feel included or for them to get distracted in their studies either. You can also go to the coaches tab. So this is something that we are starting to develop. If you are interested in becoming a coach, you can fill out the application right here. And then we will get back to you and we can go through a very brief training on Project 168, as well as just some other resources on this tab as well. And lastly, we have our 168 page. So this is actually a picture of our first society inductions. This was the past spring. We had it up at President Gee's house, which was really exciting for the students. And you can see in this picture, they're holding their padfolios. So within those padfolios is the official co-curricular transcript that I mentioned. So yeah, I think that's all. I think I covered it all. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question with my advisor cap thinking with regards to degree pursuant coursework. Because this is, have you had any conversations, I guess, with student financial services? For example, I know one of the options was taking an S course, so a service learning course and so degree audits, unless their specific major degree audit, would require would not be showing as a requirement probably, unless that particular major were just required automatically a service learning course. Do you know if a service learning course for students that are participating in Project 168 would be considered degree pursuant? And you may not know the answer to that question, Brooke. I'm just posing it because I'm sure that there are other advisors who would have that be another course option, as we have to sometimes pull our hairs out trying to make sure that we get students into 12 credit hours of degree pursuant coursework. So just an aside, and again, you may not know the answer.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question. I truthfully do not know the answer, but I can reach out to Anna. She was teaching her first year seminar class today, which is why she couldn't be here. But she may have already thought about this and had that conversation, so I can reach out to her and have her get back to you.
Great, thank you.
I also noticed in the chat, someone asked if you need to be a WVU alumni to be a coach. No, you do not. It can be any staff member, faculty member, or WVU alumni. So you do not have to be an alumni. We just opened it up to the alumni to maybe increase our numbers and coaches, allow them to kind of get involved with our students.
All right.
Any other questions? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask the same thing, Jen, if there were any other questions, and just give Brooke a big thank you for sharing the information with us. I think this is a really worthwhile program for students that participate. So I'm glad to see it really take off this year. Does anybody else have any questions for Brooke? All right. Well, Brooke, if you have any info you want to include in our message of the week, feel free to email that to Jen and myself, and we will be happy to distribute that this week with our MOW.
Okay, absolutely. And thank you guys for letting me talk with you and sit in on your meeting.
Great, thanks. All right, everyone. Well, that wraps up our presenters for today. Just a quick note, our next meeting is going to be on, or our next workshop, sorry, November 16th. And note that that is a date, a day change. Usually we're on Tuesday afternoons. That's going to be on a Wednesday afternoon, because we realized when we were planning the workshop that Tuesday is the last day to add or drop a course for this semester. So we thought that everybody would probably be super busy that day potentially and not be able to participate. So we moved it just one day. It'll be at the same time here on Zoom. And I know we've have some AAC members working hard on that workshop, and I think it's going to be a really great workshop. The registration is now live. If you haven't already registered, you can definitely do that through the link that was in the MOW last week, and I'll continue to include that in the MOW until we have the workshop next month. Jen, do you have anything?
It's great to see you, and stay warm.
Perfect. All right. And good luck with registration coming up in the next couple of weeks. I know it'll be a very busy time for all of us. So have a good rest of your afternoon, everyone. Jen, do I just hit the stop recording button?